Okay, this is the second video of my instructional how to build ships. This time I'm going to choose to do a video on a proper citadel and tank build. Now, my citadels are actually at R4 now, so that gives them a lot of extra boost that yours may or may not have. Now keep in mind you can't do R5 yet. There isn't tier 6 fragments in the game, and you must have tier 6 fragments to do R5 Citadel. Currently, the only way you can get tier 6 Citadel fragments, or garrison fragments, is by purchasing them out of the shop. And that can get quite costly. So it's really not worth to go R5. Wait for Kickside to add it to the game in a target. Alright, my assault DPS is 480, siege DPS is 960, mortar reload is plus 100, my splash is plus 25, my remote targeting is plus 100, my remote targeting type is mortar. Now what this means is I can't put missiles on this hull and it remote target them. So it's a mortar only hull. Now the remote targeting fall off, what this means is at maximum range I will lose 20% of my damage on my mortars. Assault deflection of 200 and siege deflection of 500. Now the siege deflection is against ships. The siege deflection is against turrets, and the assault deflection is against ships. Now this ain't gonna mean a lot on this particular build because these are gonna be sitting back out of harm's way, not getting fired at. But we're gonna go over this anyways. Shockwave deflection, which you only get shockwaves from radioactive weapons, like launchers, plus 10,000. Explosive defense at plus 70 and penetrative defense at plus 70. Now one important thing to note is this is a very, very slow hull. Only got a combat speed of 12. We'll have to address that in the build. What do we got? Miscellaneous. Okay. Now, as far as tanks, you got Zelos or Punisher. Hopefully most of you got Zelos last raid. Since it was cheap, Zelos, its stats just screams tank. It has a built-in anti-everything. Seeing that all this here really doesn't mean anything for this particular build in this video, we don't really care about the attack. We do care about this defense. Assault deflection of 700 and a siege deflection of 700. That's quite a bit. Evade plus 30, ballistic defense plus 30, explosive defense plus 30, concussive defense plus 30, penetrative defense plus 30, radioactive defense plus 30, corrosive defense plus 30. Now, combat speed is 32 and a turn speed of 25. That's pretty speedy, which is good. That's what you want for a tank. Now this is an important thing to note. This can really help you in some situations, like on a 109 and in 102s where they got the cryo bombs, or the cryo mines that you can't see, and then you all of a sudden have that ice explosion on the water. Well, that's cryo mines. This will detect them. And in a lot of cases, you can splash out an Apollo in a 109 targeting those cryo mines. Alright. Miscellaneous really doesn't mean much to us. Special abilities. Now it's getting an extra accuracy in the splash buff on this aura of +5. It is stackable up to 5, but we're only going to run one zelos in the fleet, so we're not going to have this stack of 5. We're only going to have one. So a +5 and a +5, that really helps. What really is important about the zelos is this here. The built-in duality countermeasure. A salvo of 8, a reload time of 5, a range of 5 to 45, accuracy of 50, and it counters both mortars and missiles. That's as good as, if not better, than a Phalanx 4 and a Gale 3. And that's built into the hull. Doesn't use a weapon slot. Oh, another thing to note is this has 14 weapon slots and 5 armor and 5 special. 4 of these weapon slots are anti-only. You can't put a weapon in. Now, Punisher, it used to be a good tank, but the zelos just stomped it all in the ground. As said before, this attack stuff really ain't going to apply to this build. Punisher's got 500 assault and 500 siege, a +50 evade, +60 ballistic, +40 explosive, +60 penetrative, and a +40 radioactive. Now, garrison targets like the FM and April's raid does mostly penetrative and explosive, so those are going to be your main ones. It does have some torque towers in there that does concussive, and the zelos does have some concussive defense on that helps. Combat speed of 17, turn speed of 12. This is a little slower than the zelos. And it doesn't have all the weapon slots or the armor slots the zelos has. So you can see already that the zelos is coming out ahead. As if you ain't got the zelos, get it in the raid. Now that being covered, we're going to go over here and we're going to start designing up a citadel. Garrison, citadel. Okay. Now, some people like judgment mortars because the MIRV, the MIRV, which what that is after the original mortar is shot down by an anti-mortar, it splits up into 3 parts. Now, one thing to note about the Judgment, it's got really good damage. Notice the building damage is 6,100, but it's heavy, 550 tons. The coaxial is lighter weight, it's 400 tons, but keep in mind these stats here is for the rocket side of the coaxial. The mortar, I have to come back over here and bring up, it's a secondary weapon, so we can look at it. This is some of the fallbacks of the shipyards. Even the in-game shipyard don't list the secondary weapon. Let's see here, special abilities. See, it's got 3,678 mortar damage, where the Judgment had 6,000. It does have more salvo, which will help confuse the countermeasures. Same reload time, same splash, and it does have a concussive damage of 551, so it actually puts it a little over 4,000 total damage. So it's about 2,000 damage less than a Judgment. But keep in mind, it's lighter. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to slap Speed System 5 on. We already know we need that. Now, Siege Battery 3 ain't really needed, but a little later on, you're going to see why I'm using this. The reason why it's not needed is this is in the background where it's not going to get touched, so it doesn't need the building, the turret defense. But because I'm going to use the high velocity rounds, the high velocity rounds has generic projectile speed and building and wall damage. That goes to any weapon. So, when I use that, it blocks out the siege targeting 3. See, I can't put it on. Now, we want to look at this. And we want to... High explosives 4 is okay, if you got it. But combustion system 2 is in the raid. It has more splash, more projectile speed. And the spread we're not really worried about, because spread is actually your friend against turrets. You want the mortars to spread out more. So, see, the projectile speed is 37.1, splash 74.3. You got a positive 20, so we're not really worried about that because we're fighting turrets. And this is a really great tuning special. If you ain't got it, get it. Now, if you notice, that puts me up to 25.37 combat speed. Let's see here. Now, I'm going to put D2V on, lightweight, and it's for combat speed only, to boost my combat speed. Don't really need armor, but I needed something to boost my combat speed. Now I'm up to 27.6, which in game that'll make it 28. That's a decent little speed. And it's not looking bad. I'm going to put this at skull rank. So, now we're going to load her up with some weapons. Now, because the Judgment actually does a little more building damage than the Firestorms, I'm going to go and load up and see what I got. Well, I'm overweight. So now I need to drop some of these and put on some coaxials. And there you go. Now, the other good thing about coaxial is it also has rockets. So that's covering if something just happens, like a ship that gets past your tank, and headed for your citadels. Well, now you got rockets that can fire on them in close range. And the rockets will fire before the mortars, because the rockets are primary weapon. Let's see here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do all this. Go over here. I'm going to change this out for a Harlech Citadel. Harlech Citadel is very important with these citadels. Notice now my projectile speed is 337%. That's going to make these mortars fly like blade missiles. Okay? That is very, very important. Also, notice my splash is up here to 124.292%. Now, I could make this a splash build, change out this high velocity rounds, and go over here and put on velocity regulator, change out the speed upgrade, and put on narrowed firing aperture. Now I'm overweight, so I'd have to put on another coaxial firestorm, and that gives me a 292 or 229% splash. But notice my projectile speed has dropped, and my combat speed has. So no, I don't like that. I'm going back to what I had. We'll go back over here to... And the reason why I like my projectile speed on these and my combat speed, the combat speed I don't want to have to sit in the target and spend all day waiting on my ships to get where I need them. And the projectile speed, the faster you can get these mortars delivered to the target, the better. That means less damage your tank is going to take. Now, over here to the tank. Now, like I said, the Zelos Screams tank, I'm not going to really cover a tank on a puny. It's basically the same as a Zelos, only you don't have you can't armor it up like the Zelos and everything, and you can't put as much stuff on. But the same basics apply. Alright, the first things, we're going to actually build the Zelos backwards from the way I've been doing them. We've got to put on that. Now, frontline countermeasure system is a must. And the reason being is it boosts your turret defense, your anti-mortar range, your anti-mortar accuracy, your anti-missile accuracy, and your anti-missile range. Now, some people, they use the Siege Battery 3. If you use that, you've got to use Countermeasure Loaders 3. But as I've said, this ship is not going to be doing damage. Its only purpose is to tank and take damage, so your citadels in the background can launch their mortars. Those are what's going to be doing the damage. Alright. Now, right now in the FM targets, stun and slow resistance is not needed, but Kixeye's probably going to throw us a curveball in the raid, and we might need that. So, and Agility System 4 has the same evade as Guidance Scrambler 3, so I'm going to use that. Now, I'm already prepared in case Kixeye throws us a curveball there. Now, for my special armor. Now, because the raid is going to do mostly missile and explosive damage, we want to use Alloy MX3. Notice it's got 55.7 missile and explosive defense. D5X at R15 only has 40.9. That's a big difference. Now, even the heavy plating. Well, the heavy plating, you're losing combat speed of 30. That's bad. So, you want to stay with the MX3. Yep. There we go. Notice my explosive and missile armor is looking good. Okay, now on to the armor plates. Now, I'm going to stick a couple of D5Ms on. I'm actually going to try to beef up my explosive defense more, because here lately in the FMs I feel that Kixeye's been cranking the frostbite damage up more than the missiles. Let's see here. We're going to add some phalanxes. Now, we do have to have one weapon, just one, to launch those mortars in the background. Now, I like to choose the D92S. It's the lightest of the launchers. It's only 115 tons, which allows me to put more armor and more antis on, and it's got a 91 range. We're not really worried about this ship doing any damage anyways. Okay, now we're going to go Gale 2. Now notice it's got a range of 40, salvo of 6, a reload of 6, and an accuracy of 35 with an explosive defense of 5. Now if you look at Hailstorm C, it's got 28 range, 5 salvo, 5 second reload, 25 accuracy. It does have a little more defense, but 480 tons. Where Gale 2 is 235 tons, less than half the weight. It's got more accuracy, more range, more salvo. So what if it takes a second longer to reload? It's better. It does have 5% less explosive defense. Now, the Hailstorm D, it's still short on range. It does have 6 salvo, and it's still less accuracy. And it only got 10 explosive defense. I love the Gale 3s. 40 range, salvo 7, reload 6, accuracy 35, explosive defense of 10. So we're going to throw a few of those on. Can I get another one in? Nope. Overweight. So, let's see here. Can you get a Gale 2 on? Yep, got a Gale 2. Alright, now I got 7, 14, 21, 27 salvo between these 4 weapons. And that's 10, 20, 35 explosive defense. Okay, now I'm going to try and tweak this a little bit to get more salvo and more defense out of this. So we're going to drop back to Gale 2s and load up more. Okay, I'm going to have to drop this down to a anti-missile phalanx 3. Which, by the way, I've got those at R0. Let me change those. Because I've got them at R15. There they are. Now that bumps my accuracy and range a lot. Okay, I like that. Okay, now down here we got 6, 6, 6, so that's 12, 24, 36, 42 salvo. And the other was what? 7, 21, 28 salvo. So I got quite a bit more salvo. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. I've got the same explosive defense, but I've got a lot more salvos flying at mortars. That should stop any mortars coming in. Now, if I have problems with missiles, I can drop a couple of these off and put some more phalanxes on if I need to. But, as I was stating, I feel that the Frostbites has been doing more damage in the FMs lately, so I would rather keep my explosive defense. Now notice here, I got a 464 817 armor against turret missile, and I got a 451 802 armor against explosive missile. Less armor against explosives, even though it's 94%. That's why you want to pay attention to these. Also, that's actual armor that you've got against those. Let's see here. With this build and this tank, this should do you really nicely in the upcoming raid and in FM. I hope this vid has been informational and helps you with